Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of August 17th. This week, the City Council had a study session to discuss several issues important to Bloomington today and in the future. Last year, the City Council gave the go-ahead for our Parks and Recreation Department to do a comprehensive review of our park system and develop a plan for how we make our parks, recreation, and natural areas even better than they are today. The planning process had a very ambitious community engagement component because we know how important it is to hear from you. For the City Council and the city staff to make good decisions, we need good information about who is using our parks, what you, the users, value and prefer, and what future users of parks are looking for to get the most out of their active and their passive recreation and leisure time. We are very grateful for all the input received from residents on how to update and improve Bloomington's parks. Common themes we continue to hear are the importance of trails and trail connections, natural resources, and equitable access to parks and recreational experiences. These themes will inform the master plan and future park improvements. Staff presented an analysis of local and national trends in parks and recreation, along with the types of parks and outdoor facilities currently provided in Bloomington. Based on this analysis, we see that different park amenities and new experiences will better serve our residents today and in the future. For example, we have an abundance of traditional softball fields and outdoor skating rinks, but needs do exist for things such as dog parks, splash pads, and skate parks. While the Park System Master Plan provides a roadmap for park improvements, Council and staff agree that community-driven planning is absolutely essential as we look at park projects. When the master plan is done and when discussions begin about where and how and when to invest in our parks, we will make sure that you are at the table. Several meetings ago, the City Council asked staff to bring back information for the City Council to discuss whether we should declare racism a public health crisis in Bloomington. I don't need to remind you of the events we've all seen and experienced over the past several months. However, it should not go unsaid that what we've all seen is not at all new. This country has been grappling with inequality for generations, and systemic and institutional racism has been firmly embedded in the structures of our society and our economy for just as long. And in Minnesota, disparities between white people and people of color, especially black Minnesotans, are among the most pronounced disparities in the country. To think that Bloomington is somehow immune to these issues is to deny reality, which is why the City Council identified equity and inclusion as one of our strategic pillars in 2016 and why we continue to work on it today. Addressing racism as a public health crisis presents a unique opportunity to focus on an issue that has persisted for decades in Bloomington's BIPOC communities, and BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Taking a public health approach could reimagine how the city addresses health disparities in these communities. This approach would also streamline what is all too often a disjointed collection of actions trying to address complicated structural issues. It would put an emphasis on aligning work across the city to address other issues that affect the health and well-being of Bloomington's BIPOC community members, including housing, public safety, and employment. On Monday night, there was strong interest by the City Council to declare racism a public health crisis. But before taking that step, the Council asked for more information about what it would mean in terms of commitment of time, and commitment of resources. We also need to think about how to show progress on this work, recognizing that any work we do to address the impact of centuries of racism will be hard to measure initially, and will certainly take time. Expect to hear more on this very important topic. Also on Monday night, the city manager provided an update to the council and the community about a ballot question that Bloomington voters will consider this fall: ranked choice voting. The question the city manager was addressing was in response to a resident question that several of the city council members received. It was about the specific details to implement ranked choice voting if it is approved by the voters in November. Now, the city council would need to adopt an ordinance that lays out how the ranked choice voting process would work. The question from the resident was asking the city council to adopt those details prior to the election. Unfortunately, the timeline to adopt an ordinance cannot be done before voting begins. Early voting for the general election begins in less than a month, September 18th. The outcome of the vote will obviously be known in November, and if it is approved, we will get to work defining the specific rules and processes for implementing ranked choice voting. Staff would prepare recommendations, and there would be public notice for you to weigh in at a public hearing before any council action. I know there is a lot of activity and information being shared by folks on both sides of the ranked choice voting issue. That is exactly how it should be. I encourage everyone to get informed, look at both sides, check out the FAQs on the city webpage, and make your decision. Before we go, here's one more bonus item. Every year, our Human Rights Commission presents the Omar Bonderud Human Rights Award to an individual or an organization that has made a significant contribution to ensuring the rights of people in Bloomington. The award is named in honor of Omar Bonderud, who was the first chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, which was formed way back in 1968. Nominations for the Omar Bonderud Award are now open, and you can nominate someone. Details are on the city's website, but act fast if you know someone that should be considered. Nominations are due by Friday, August 28th. Well, that's a wrap on this week's Council Minute. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Be well and stay safe, Bloomington.